Ladies and gentlemen, they got him. They caught the beer bandit. The nightmare is over. Patrons of Pittsburgh restaurants, you may now drink your beer in peace, as the beer bandit Black Lives Matter protester has been finally caught and charged. And you can see on video, they did it. They stole the beer. Now, okay, let's slow down. You may have seen the video from a couple weeks ago of the Black Lives Matter protest marching past a restaurant, swearing and yelling at patrons. Some woman walks over and grabs a beer from an elderly couple, and they looked rather shocked. Someone else comes up, starts yelling at them. Accidentally, it looks like they swipe something and a glass falls off, but then someone else smacks a glass off the table. This wasn't the most egregious act of violence we've seen from Black Lives Matter. But this story is significant for a couple of reasons. For one, we have seen now several instances where Black Lives Matter has been harassing regular people. They're harassing regular people all the time. But what I mean is going to restaurants and terrorizing people who are not engaging in political activities and just generally, look, you got the videos where they go up to the patrons and demand they salute them in DC. Yeah, it's terror. It's bend the knee to us or else. So they're marching through the streets and they're making sure people know who they are and fear them. And that's what's happening. So this group harassed an elderly couple. The reason why this story is so interesting is that they lied to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and said, we were invited over. Yeah, they said, come on over, have a beer. And I said, well, I don't got time to order one, so I'll just drink this beer right here. And you can clearly see the elderly couple is in distress as people are screaming at them, and now they're being charged. So I don't think we're stopping, the grand conspiracy to inflict pain and suffering and violence on people. But if you stop these extremists when they do things like this, you will prevent more extreme actions. If they feel that they can go up to anybody they want, steal whatever they want, lie to the press will publish their lies, and they did. What else will they do? Well, not too far from Pittsburgh is Lancaster. And guess what? All is peaceful in Lancaster. You know why? Flash raids were apparently conducted where police went around, swooped up the agitators and arrested them. And then guess what? No more riots. I find it funny when you look at Portland. What have we seen in the past several nights of Portland? Things seem to be dying down. And there's a couple of reasons that may be that I've mentioned before. One, the wildfires, people might be like, time to chill. They also may be going to DC because in 2 days, the White House siege will begin. Or it could be that Oregon State Police were deputized and the FBI was going around and arresting some of the more extreme agitators on federal charges. Guess what? You remove the extremists, what do you get? A dance party. That's what happened in the street. So, like I said, the beer bandit, not the most notorious criminal working inside the, Antifa or Black Lives Matter, still important to stop this. Send a message to the extremists. If you do things like this, you will be arrested. Let's read these stories. I want to show you some of the context where they lied to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and tried claiming it was all in good fun. It was just theatrics. No, these are violent criminals who harass people, threaten them. It's not just in Pittsburgh. It's not just in DC. It was in Rochester, where they went around and knocked tables over, chairs over, and chased people out. People who probably paid money for food already, or were trying to order things, and now we're being chased away from a relaxing evening. Why? Because it's terrorism. They want you to fear them. They can do this and get away with it. Well, not now. Because from the most extreme offenders of violent thugs to the lowly beer bandit, you will be arrested. Good. Here's a story from the Daily Mail. They say, beer bandit BLM protester who downed elderly couple's drink at Pittsburgh restaurant and screamed F the white people is charged with harassing diners along with 2 others. 3 people are now facing criminal charges for harassing diners at a restaurant in Pittsburgh during a Black Lives Matter protest over Labor Day weekend. Misdemeanor charges were filed against Monique Kraft, 35, Kenneth McDowell, 33, and Sean Green, 24 on Monday. It's unclear whether they've been taken into custody. Apparently, there's also a video of someone swinging a skateboard at somebody. A viral video showed the trio and others protesting and other protesters screaming F the white people and yelling other obscenities at diners outside the Siena Mercado restaurant on Penn Avenue on September 5th. Kraft was dubbed the beer bandit after she was seen swiping a drink from an elderly white couple and downing it in front of them before another protester knocked the glass to the ground. Green, who goes by Lorenzo Rulli, I guess, swore at the elderly couple and gave them the finger according to a police complaint. He also walked up to the front of the restaurant and screamed into an open window. Police identified McDowell as the ringleader and said he used a megaphone to scream obscenities at diners sitting outside Siena Mercado and others passing by, as seen in the video. McDowell was also accused of getting into an altercation with a McDonald's manager in another protest video that went viral. Why? I don't get it. So this is Sean Green, who goes by Lorenzo Rulli. I don't understand why. Swore at the elderly couple and gave them the finger. Now that's interesting. He's being charged for harassment. That's a tough charge. I mean, what did the guy do? Walked up to people and yelled at them? I mean, we have a right to free speech, right? I guess the challenge here is that you have a large mob. There is action being taken, like physical action being taken against them, and he's joining in the intimidation. So, yeah, seems like he definitely crossed the line. Kraft has been charged with disorderly conduct, conspiracy, and theft by unlawful taking after allegedly admitting to chugging the couple's beer. I gotta admit, this is like the lowest tier Antifa crime to charge, but I gotta be serious, man. You go after all of it. You stop them. Do not give them any leeway. You take a beer, you get arrested. You steal from people, you get arrested. That way, everybody knows. The cops aren't going to mess around. You commit a crime, you will face justice. Interestingly, some people have said, this is what happens when you bring it to the red areas or whatever. And yeah, maybe, but isn't the mayor of Lancaster a Democrat? I think it's fair to say that people in Pennsylvania are the old school working class type Democrats who don't tolerate this fringe far left extremism. Philadelphia, for instance, like 80% Democrat, but these guys are like working class union Democrats who are probably all voting for Donald Trump now, especially after videos like this go viral. They're probably very happy these people got arrested. McDowell is charged with possessing instruments of crime, conspiracy, disorderly conduct, and harassment. And Rulli is charged with disorderly conduct, conspiracy, criminal mischief, and simple trespass. Police noted in the complaint that the diners did not appear to be engaging with the protesters. However, the protesters involved later told the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that what the video didn't capture was a group of men shouting "Blue Lives Matter" and one man swinging a bike at them. The incident outside Siena Mercado drew the ire of President Trump, who called the protesters Joe Biden voters and anarchists in a flurry of tweets on September 8th. BLM protesters horribly harass elderly Pittsburgh diners, scaring them with loud taunts while taking their food right off their plate. Let's stop right here. Joe Biden voters, you sure about that, Donald Trump? These people don't like Joe Biden. I would not call them Joe Biden supporters. But then I wouldn't have before. And I thought about it, though. While they don't necessarily support Joe Biden, they probably really don't like him. I think it's fair to say, if the Democrats are coming out saying the violence stops if Joe Biden wins, they may not be supporters of, but they certainly tolerate and will accept Joe Biden. They go out and they attack Trump supporters. That helps Joe Biden. They intimidate Trump supporters from speaking out and sharing their ideas. That helps Joe Biden. It's the weirdest thing to me to see these progressive leftists attacking Trump and helping Joe Biden. Now, I don't think it's fair to say they're going to go around with Biden signs or anything like that. Some of them probably will. Many of them probably say, you have to vote Biden, otherwise Trump will win, and it's so much worse. So while it may not be fair to say that they are Joe Biden voters or supporters, I think it's fair to say that the actions they take are helping Joe Biden, and they would prefer Joe Biden, and they're not going to riot should Biden win, according to Democrats. So what else can you do? I'm trying to break down the nuance here, right? Because people are going to be like, they don't support Joe Biden. They're far left extremists. Sure. But everything they do is pushing Biden to victory. Except, I gotta be honest. They've done many things. If they just knew where the line was and they stopped, probably could have helped Biden. Think about it. Intimidating Trump supporters and the elderly, saying, if you say anything positive about Trump, they'll come for you. That may have worked. People are scared to speak up. They don't want to get canceled. They don't want to get attacked. Well, now they've crossed the line. And now they're actually helping Trump by being lunatics and harassing elderly people. Trump goes on to say these anarchists, not protesters, are Biden voters. But he has no control and nothing to say. Disgraceful. Never seen anything like it. Thugs. Trump said this thuggery was happening in Democratic-run cities and states. And that's true. It is. It is. But it's also fair to say that in Lancaster, they went out and arrested a ton of these people. I meant Lancaster before. I think I may have confused the cities. Biden and his most liberal in the Senate running mate, that's true, Kamala, won't even talk about it, Trump charged. They won't utter the words law and order. Biden has repeatedly said that violence, looting, and other bad behavior didn't count as protesting. That's true. Biden said it. But has Biden ever said he condemns Antifa or Black Lives Matter? No, because he doesn't. He doesn't condemn them as movements. He's just mad they're making them look bad. That's really it. If he came out and said the actions taken by the extremists aligned with Antifa and Black Lives Matter have no place in this country, then I'd be like, wow, impressive. He's condemned the violence. I say, okay, thank you for that. Now call out the groups that are organizing it, because we've seen from the DHS leaked email, Antifa is very organized. Black Lives Matter is a top-down national organization. It's time for you, Biden, to say, I condemn the actions of these Black Lives Matter extremists. He won't do it. He wants their support. So they may not be voters, but Biden is begging them, please vote for me. Please, I won't say your name. I won't insult you. I'll just say the bare minimum to make sure that regular people know I stand against the violence, but not from you, not from them specifically. I won't say their name. Really tells diners F the white people that built the system, adding F12, a reference to police, which really literally means nothing. I love the F12 thing because it's supposed to be like, so ACAB is 1312, so 12 F12. It's so dumb. Some diners picked up their belongings and left after demonstrators called them an embarrassment. In the second video, McDowell was seen walking next to a cyclist and speaking through a megaphone. It's difficult to distinguish what was said between the pair before McDowell nudged the cyclist with his phone, with the megaphone. The cyclist swatted back before a second protester reportedly hit the man from behind with a skateboard. These people are nuts. Kraft, who identifies as non-binary, sought to explain the scenes in an interview with the Post-Gazette. Yeah, I kid you not. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Ah, yes. The ones who called out Sean Parnell, Republican, because Sean Parnell condemned the extremists and said they will be emboldened. We are fighting a war with these people. And they were like, harumphies, do better, Sean Parnell. How dare we don't need another culture warrior? From their ivory tower, they looked down at the lowly people who are dealing with the strife and they said, harumph. And then what happened? It came to their town. And it will continue to come to Pennsylvania towns unless people stand up and do something, because it happened in Lancaster. But guess what happened in Lancaster? They came and arrested these people. You arrest them. That put an end to it. Here's what they said to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. According to Kraft's account, a man began grabbing Kraft's hair and placed his hand on Kraft's chest, saying he was trying to stop Kraft from engaging with another man. When the confrontation ended, Kraft said, a man in the restaurant began condemning the protesters' actions. The woman who was with him offered Kraft to come over, have a beer, and talk about the situation. So, being a theatrical, snarky type of person that I am, I said that I don't have time to wait for you to order another beer. I'll take the one you have. Kraft did not recognize the man who swung the skateboard. Even though people at the restaurant saw the whole thing, they still saw me as an aggressor, Kraft said, adding that people like to look at videos and speculate on what they would have done in the situation without knowing what it was really like in the moment. Thank you, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, for letting us know of the noble actions of this poor individual who just wanted to share a beer with an elderly couple. And that's the media for you. They're in the bag for the Democrats. They're in the bag for Black Lives Matter. In fact, Trump isn't even running against either of them. Trump is running against the media. The media class, the elite ivory tower, whatever people who are so sure of themselves, so arrogant. They are the ones who dictate what you should think. So, of course, they're not going to make Black Lives Matter look bad. They're in the bag. They're saying, we support this. We need this. We must defeat the orange man or else. Well, now we know the truth. These people are getting arrested and charged conspiracy because they were not invited to have a beer. They're just extremist, arrogant criminals who will commit crime so long as they get away with it. Well, I bring you now to this story from the Daily Caller. Lancaster, peaceful after night of unrest following officer-related shooting. Now, hold on. What do you mean peaceful? Are you playing games with me, Daily Caller? Is this another one of those peaceful protests? No, in fact, nothing happened. Here's the story. Protests remained peaceful Monday night into early Tuesday morning in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, following a night of unrest after a man was fatally shot. Lancaster erupted into Monday morning after the shooting, and 8 were arrested as rioters set fires and vandalized businesses, according to a police statement. A woman at the Monday night protest outside the Lancaster Bureau of Police said Munoz's family was accepting donations to cover his funeral costs, and that they supported the protests, but did not want them to be destructive. Apparently, some guy came with an American flag and told them that they would do better for the community by taking push brooms and going and cleaning up. But I guess that never occurred to them as they go around destroying things. A self-identified pastor asked the protesters what changes they wanted to see happen within the police department. The group most widely agreed that they would like for officers to not carry firearms or to use tear gas, among other requests, such as general economic reform. They want to disarm them. What do you think would happen if a cop was answering a distress call like we saw in Lancaster, and a man lunges out, jumping with a knife and screaming and swinging it, and the cop wasn't armed at all with anything? Yeah, the cop would probably die. So in this instance, the cop defended himself, and rightly so, and it's tragic. So why do they want to disarm the police? We're just saying, man, cops shouldn't have guns, you know? You think they're going to stop once the cops don't have guns? No. Once the cops put their guns down, these people are going to go 10 times as crazy because no one will be able to do anything about it. Crime will get worse. Now, potentially, if we do some kind of nonviolent first responders, community policing of some sort, I'm actually okay with that. What I mean by community policing is, I've made reference to this before, kind of like a civil guard. They'll have batons, but no weapons. They won't answer violent calls. So if you get a domestic dispute, the cops still come out and they will be armed. So if the crazy guy with the knife comes out, the cops can still defend themselves. But they can't answer things like homeless guy won't leave the front of a store. That does still create an opportunity for danger for these officers because they won't be armed and you never know when someone will come out with a weapon. But I believe the police can take the first step towards de-escalation, and we can do it in small doses, meaning you don't want to do this overhaul like many of these departments are doing. Disband the police, defund the police. No. We want a couple of officers. We'll try out some very serious low-tier violations, citations, so they can go out and help deal with, maybe you got two guys and they're having a dispute over a parking space. Maybe a homeless guy is blocking the door and won't leave. You come out the civil guard and you try and deal with it. You give it a certain amount of time. And if the homeless guy can't be moved, then the civil guard can try to make an arrest, or they can call for patrol officers to show up with their normal equipment. I think this requires more funding for police, better training. And I think most cops should be paid better. A lot of cops get paid trash to work a really tough job. And that's a lot of things that's something that people don't realize. Like I remember reading about New York City. And they got some dumb things in New York with how they hire people, sure. But they pay very, very little for officers joining the force. So they have no investment in the job. They don't care. Many of these cops are living with their parents, no joke. And so you're not creating a intelligent, trained task force, who can go out and ensure the safety and just maintain order. You're not. You're getting a bunch of like barely qualified individuals who are underpaid. So it's really fascinating to me. Let's talk about increasing the salaries, funding the police more, getting these cops more invested. And I don't mean every cop is not invested. I'm just saying the ones that aren't, they're kind of like, oh, I'm at work, right? We want these cops to be proud of what they do. We want them to make a decent amount of money. We want them to be trained properly. This requires more money. Well, they're calling for defunding. That makes no sense. So anyway, here's what I want to show. This is a tweet from The Blaze. They say, Lancaster police conduct flash raids on rioters to arrest those who committed criminal actions such as arson, vandalism, and assault and battery on officers. They were rounded up in marked vans during an offensive that took the BLM and Antifa rioters off guard. Our reporter Elijah Schaefer was there to capture it all, and we have a video, people getting arrested. I didn't find any articles or anything talking about the tactics used to make the arrests, but there are many articles talking about the arrests themselves. So I think it is likely that, following the unrest, they identified the individuals, they went to their homes quietly and without incident, arrested them, and now they're facing charges, and now we have peaceful protests. You've got to get rid of the agitators. If the left thinks violence is wrong, and they try and claim we were just peacefully enjoying a drink with these patrons, well, then you have no problem with the cops coming in and saying, arrest the extremists, arrest those who are violent. The reality is they're for it. They really are. It's just that many of these people don't want to engage in this activity themselves. They want patsies. So if you get rid of those who are willing to engage in these extremist actions, then there's nothing left but the peaceful protest. As the DHS leaked email said, they're organized, not opportunistic. But I gotta tell you, it's still a little bit of both. The far left knows an opportunity when they see one. You got a shooting, a police, incident for whatever reason. They can push it. They can make people rally, whether or not the police shooting was justified or otherwise. And they'll say, there's no justified police shootings. Lancaster. The police did everything right. The cop tried running first. He couldn't get away. The guy was gaining on him. He turned and he fired. He was attacked first. The cop did nothing wrong. In fact, he did everything right. He tried to flee. The police then released the body cam footage, doing everything right, being transparent. The left still went out and rioted. So you know what? Good. The police arrested the extremists, and now a peaceful protest. A total peaceful protest. Look at it. Here's one sign. The thin blue line protects them, not us. We are done working with America, blah, blah, blah. Here's a guy holding a thin blue line flag. You know what? I'm happy for him. I think they're wrong, but I like the idea that they'll go out and peacefully express themselves. And I'm even more excited to see that the police are doing their job and charging the highest level and the lowest level. This story, we covered two extremes. Or not extremes, but like the two ends. The bottom tier of crime, someone walked over and took a beer. Seems like no big deal, but don't let them become emboldened. Arrest them and charge them for any crime they commit. It's a misdemeanor. This person, Kraft, will get a slap on the wrist or something. But now you got the arsonists from Lancaster. This is Pennsylvania doing it right. Take these people in, charge them, have them stand trial, and we'll see what they've done. And that's the way it's supposed to work. Otherwise, if you do what Portland did and keep cutting them loose, the riots will never stop. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.